and more residential colleges in Warwickshire.
More residential colleges. You seem to have support. Is this a quasi-political issue?
Well, I'm happy to talk about the broader political issues with regard to the way government spends its money, because a residential accommodation would be supplied through local government with money usually provided by central government. And I think there are massive things that with an unlimited sum of money the government would want to do for all sorts of communities, and I'm conscious that I'm amongst a community today who have needs and who look to government agencies to support them. But I do think, and perhaps this isn't a bad time for me just to talk about the broader overall position that the government today finds itself in. And the position the government's in at the moment is a bit like if you were to receive an income, you were to get £75 a week coming into your bank account or into your hand with cash every week, but you were consistently spending £100 every week. You wouldn't be able to carry on forever in that situation. And unfortunately, that's the situation the government's in at the moment. For every £4 the government spends, it's getting £3 in income, and it's borrowing £1. And so the government is currently undertaking a process which is trying to get the gap between what comes in and what goes out closer together. It won't be even for many, many years, but some of the very difficult decisions that the government's taking about its expenditure is based on that. And if I go back to that, somebody borrowing £25 every week, as you borrow more, the amount of interest that you have to pay on the sum increases. And at the moment, the government is spending £120 million every single day on interest charges. And to put that in perspective, we spend £35 million a day on the police force nationally. So we are spending an awful lot of money on interest. And if we don't do something about getting those two, the items of expenditure and income, a little closer together, we will end up spending even more of our money on interest, and that means there will be less available to do all of the good things that we want the government to do. So the answer to your question is there are masses of things that are desirable, but at any time the government's resources are limited, but right now they're under a little bit more pressure than they have been for many years.
Okay, so we've got the issue that there isn't a lot of money lying around to invest in residential colleges, but in terms of sort of different ways of accessing learning, residential colleges and others, do any of the other panel members want to come in on that?
Can I just say something about this? But people are not aware. At the moment, we do only have one residential college in Warwickshire. We've got Hereward, which is in Coventry. And some of our young people, do have to travel a long way sometimes to get to the college that can meet their needs. We've got people in Wales, we've got people down in Somerset, so they are all spread around. But there is an issue about funding of them. And what the local authority and the Young People's Learning Agency that fund those specialist colleges are looking at the moment is how can we provide that same support within the county for people. So they're working with some of the local colleges at the moment to see if they could perhaps link in with people like Hereward, so that people could maybe not be residential all the time but have a residential experience as part of a local college course. So they're trying very much to look at how they can make the money work a bit better. But I do think it's unlikely that we will get more residential colleges in Warwickshire, but we may get other ways of giving people that support and that experience.
And just for the report going back out, what we'll be able to put in the details of that, you refer to it as the Young Person's Learning?
Young Person's Learning Agency are the people that actually hold the money at the moment for the specialist colleges, and it's done in conjunction with the local authority in terms of making those decisions. But they are trying to pilot some places linking in with local colleges and trying to offer a bit more of that experience for young people without them having to travel to the other end of the country.
I suppose one of the points of today and the points of raising your questions to agencies is to raise a couple of things. One is to make sure that you realise that these agencies are here to support you, so they're accountable to you. If you want those agencies to work in a different way, if you want them to support you in a different way, you have the right to ask that question and ask for that support. It also highlights that actually when a group as big as this is making representation and saying we want support to work differently, we want support delivered to us differently, it can be very, very powerful. And the agencies all here today are here to support you to make that voice heard.